Hi! Hello and welcome to this week's Full Body Chills episode. My name is Sona and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber here to give you full body chills. And I can see that, wait, who was it? Was it IDK Bacon? He was like, oh, we're getting ads now. Hey, as long as it's not for, I don't know, raid, then I'm fine with that. As long as it's not like unskip, I guess, no. I think there's gonna be unskippable ads, but as long as they're not, I don't know, hella long or something, like they're not 5 minutes long or something, then it's fine. But yeah, like as you probably noticed, I finally got monetized, and I got into a YouTube partnership program, or partner program, I guess. And yeah, I'm in the secret circle now. I couldn't be happier. Thank you so much, because without you, it wouldn't be possible. So all I can say is thank you for watching my videos, for tuning into my streams, and yeah, thank you for being here, for supporting my channel. And yeah, Scholastica, congrats on getting monetized. Thank you so much. Well, I mean, I think we did it all, like all of us did it, and yeah, I mean, all thanks goes to you guys as well. And yeah, congrats. I might do like a little celebration stream possibly next week. I mean, we're gonna continue with gaming streams, but it might be like a special stream. We'll see. Tyrant Owen still fuck you, Fear. I can't be nice. It's fine. It's fine. Make sure to watch all the ads. Yeah. Hey, okay. I understand. If the ad is like... one ad is 10 minutes long, honestly, I get it. Because I would skip it too. So if it's a 10-minute long skippable ad... Just skip it, it's fine. And also read the chat rules. Oh yeah. So in the description under this video, you've got the chat rules, so please read it, please abide by the rules, and you know, be good. Don't mess up. Don't mess this up. Just, you know, be a good fearling. Okay, so today I've got for you 3 stories. Why did I say it like that? I've got 3 stories for you. 3 scary stories. And 2 of them were actually sent in by my subscribers. So 2 of you guys, sorry. What am I saying? So 2 of these stories were sent in by the 2 of you guys. So 2 of my fearlings. And you guys will be the judges whether or not these stories are true or fake. And 1 story was found on the internet. So yeah, we'll see. They are pretty long. So you know, sit in, just make yourself comfortable, lock your doors, turn off the lights, and you know, let's start in a minute. And before we start, tomorrow I will have a bonus true crime live stream on my Patreon. So if you feel like you wanna, you know, just toss a coin at your true crime VTuber and support this channel, you can subscribe to Patreon for only $5 a month. You will get access to a library of streams, of bonus streams that I've already done. So a library of different cases that I've covered on Patreon, and those are not gonna be available on YouTube. As well as, you know, access to my Discord server and a special VIP role. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Wait, not on Saturday. I was gonna like... I think I was gonna mess up, but this week the YouTube true crime stream will be on Sunday. So on Sunday I'll be covering a case, an unsolved case from Hawaii, and that's gonna be a serial killer case. Wait, get them biscuits ready. Yeah, get your biscuits, get your Cheetos, make yourself comfy, and yeah, let's dive right into it. And hi Christopher, hi, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm good. I can see Ray also tuned in. Thank you for being here, Ray. I have stuff to do tomorrow, sad. Okay, but you know, you can rewatch it. And it's gonna be up there. It's gonna be up on Patreon. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so let's start with the first story. I checked my inbox this time last year and it said, "You have 63 unread messages." This was going to be a long night. Sure, I love Christmas as much as the average person, and I like earning a bit of extra money, but I still wasn't looking forward to it. It was my job to read each and every one of these emails and respond as if I were the real Santa Claus. I also had a small pile of handwritten letters that needed a reply as well. They were stacked up next to me, all neatly tied together with a piece of string. For some reason, I actually prefer receiving the handwritten letters, other than the electronic version. It feels more personal, but it seems like most kids nowadays would rather send an email. In fact, I had only this small pile of 12 letters this year. All the others were strictly via email. I began to click through each email, quickly skimming what it was that each child wanted for Christmas, before replying that I would try my best to deliver that gift to them. I would always end the email by signing off as Santa Claus, before clicking send. Most kids would want the usual presents of bikes, games, or a puppy. But there were also a number of requests that were a bit more unique. One kid wanted a bottle of hand sanitizer, while another wanted a hammer. A hammer? Jesus. For the most part, though, it appeared that kids mainly wanted similar gifts. The night was getting late by the time I had answered the majority of the emails. My hand and wrist were beginning to tire, but the thought of earning $3 for each reply was what managed to keep me working. My eyes wanted to close, and so I decided to leave the small stack of letters until tomorrow. I still had a dozen or so emails to complete, but it was time to call it a night. Ding! The unmistakable sound of another new email rang out across my small apartment. I knew that I wasn't going to respond, but I wanted to skim read what it said before making acquaintance with my bed. Holly. Good work on responding to all these emails tonight. I know it's mentally draining and I know you are working hard at it, but I just want to make sure you are also replying to the handwritten letters that I sent over to you this morning. Those kids need a response too. Thanks, Michael. I've never met Michael, but when it came to getting my job done, he was in constant contact with me. Michael was a decent boss, but sometimes could be a bit pushy and a tad demanding. I was going to respond to the letters as well, but both Michael and the kids would have to wait until tomorrow to hear back from the fake Santa. I was just about to finish closing the lid on my laptop when I heard another unmistakable ding sound. Another email had come through. I thought most kids would be in bed at this late hour and not sending a Christmas wish list via email. Curious, I flicked my laptop back open and read the new email. The subject consisted of only 6 words. It read, "On the first day of Christmas." Unsure of what this meant, I opened the email and read what was written. It didn't take long to read the words because it was only 2 sentences long. The caroler sent to me. A partridge hanged in a pear tree. I reread the email a couple of times, making sure that I had correctly comprehended the message. I knew what was written, but I didn't entirely know what it meant. I sat there, staring at the computer screen, confused as to what this email was about. I didn't have long to be confused though, because another ding filled the silence in the room. I looked at my inbox and saw that another email had just sent through. This time, there was no subject. but the actual contents of the email was once again only a few sentences long. The first Noel, the angels did slay. The caroler. This email also made mention of, quote, the caroler, and I was unsure as to who exactly that was. Maybe just someone playing some sort of prank, but I had seen enough horror movies to not completely dismiss this as such. More often than not, things like this turn out to be a practical joke, and so I was wary as to what was really going on here. I thought it was best to not respond to these emails, but I knew that I shouldn't just delete them and forget about them either. Ding. This time, when I checked the email, it only contained a single sentence, another line from a famous Christmas song. Silent night, holy night. Shepherds quake at my side. The caroler. The caroler signed his name at the bottom of the email again, making sure I knew it was from them, whoever they were. I was starting to feel a strange sense of dread, like my body knew that something was clearly wrong, but my brain was still trying to decipher what exactly. I was definitely concerned by the caroler's use of the word slay. Ding, ding. There were 2 dings this time, both of them making me jump slightly in my seat. My eyes darted back to the top of my inbox list, and I saw 2 new emails had just arrived. The first one read, bells on Bob's tail ring, making his spirit rise. The caroler. The second email, also from the caroler, contained another quote from another joyful Christmas song. Joy to the world, for I have come. The caroler. Now I was worried. Whoever this wasn't mistakenly sending me these emails. This was intentional. They wouldn't accidentally send me 5 emails, all containing strange versions of carols. Each email seemed to allude to something dark or sinister, which is something that I couldn't ignore. Ding. Rudy the dead-nosed reindeer had a very tiny nose. The caroler. This email was the first to truly disturb me. I'm not sure entirely why, but I think it was because it seemed as if Rudolph was purposely changed to another name. This probably meant something, but what that was still unknown. Obviously, the caroler was trying to scare me, and he definitely knew how to. What scared me most, though, was what if these emails were clues to something? Ding. Hark, the herald angels sing. Glory to the firstborn king. The caroler. I read this email twice before I noticed that it read firstborn instead of newborn, as is heard in the song. I wasn't quite sure what the significance of this change was, but I was certain that it had to mean something. Ding. O come all ye faithful, dreadful and triumphant, I guess. O come ye, to Beth, the caroler. Another changed lyric to suit a name. I was absolutely sure that this was on purpose now. This had to mean something. This had to be a clue to something bigger. It just wasn't possible to make this many spelling mistakes without them being deliberate and calculated. I looked around my empty apartment. It was dark, apart from the light of my laptop screen providing a faint glow of light. The darkness no longer felt comfortable, and I needed a proper light source to help calm myself down. I needed to be able to see everything that was inside the apartment, just in case. I stood up out of my seat and only took one step towards the light switch when I heard another ding. I didn't want to look at it, not until the light was on. I continued to walk towards the light switch while constantly looking through the darkness, hoping not to see anything within it. I reached the switch, flicked it on, and quickly glanced around the room. It was empty. Only the wardrobe, my desk, and my bed were present. I quickly walked back over to the laptop, but as I did, 2 more distinct dings rang across the room. When I reached the laptop again, I had 3 unread emails that had just been sent through. I knew exactly who they were from before I looked at them. The first email read, "He sees Hugh when he's sleeping. He knows when he's awake. The Caroler." I paused to take in what I had just read before moving on to the second email. "Bad tidings I bring. To you and your Finn. The Caroler." The final email, which was the longest so far, read, "And Carol out in the snow. There will be scary ghost stories and tales of the gory Christmases long, long ago. The Caroler." 3 more emails. 3 more names mentioned. I waited, watching the laptop screen, waiting for another ding, waiting for another email to pop up, but it seemed like the emails had stopped. I waited for a few minutes, expecting to receive another one, but it never arrived. As I sat in my now well-lit apartment, I felt a chill run down my spine. I wasn't really sure of what I had just experienced or what any of that meant. I just knew it wasn't something I wanted to be involved in. It was silent, and I was listening out for any small noises that I could, just in case I heard anyone nearby. I could hear a car or 2 outside of my window, but other than that, it was a silent night. I had never heard of anyone called the Caroler before, and I was afraid as to who or what they could be. Why were they contacting me? And why all the cryptic emails? I suddenly had a thought. The letters. The handwritten letters for Santa that I hadn't had a chance to look at yet. For some reason, they popped into my mind. And once the thought of them occurred, I couldn't shake the feeling that they may be involved somehow. I looked to the side and towards the bundle of envelopes that were beside me. I reached out and grabbed the top letter on the stack. I tore it open and pulled out the single sheet of paper that was inside. The piece of paper was only small, and it only had a few sentences written on it, in small, incredibly neat handwriting. "Dear Santa, for Christmas, I want to be a partridge in a pear tree. From Georgia Partridge." I instantly knew then that this was all connected somehow, and I frantically grabbed the second letter. I tore the envelope that contained the second letter. I pulled the piece of paper out of the envelope and quickly unfolded it. Again, there was a small note written in the same neat handwriting as the previous letter. "Dear Santa, all I want is to be found in the fields as I lay. From Noel Dover." I read the letter, then froze. I recognized that name. Noelle Dover. I had read it before. I swear I had. I just couldn't remember where. Pushing the thought of his name aside, I grabbed the next envelope and sat at the top of the pile. Tore it open and plucked out its contents. The same handwriting greeted me, in what now felt like a taunting manner. Dear Santa, for Christmas, I want to sleep in a heavenly peace. From Henry Shepard. It then struck me. I remembered how I knew the name Noelle Dover. Well, I thought I did, so I went back to my laptop and searched for his name. I was right. I had correctly remembered where I knew his name from. Search enters day 12 for missing camper. Missing camper, Noelle Dover, has been missing for almost 2 weeks now. Both police and volunteers have been tirelessly searching ever since it was first reported he was missing. Police inspected his campsite and have today revealed that there is evidence that paints to foul play. It is unknown at this time whether there are any suspects that relate to his disappearance. The article continued to explain more about the missing man, but I had read enough. I remembered the story from a few years ago. As far as I knew, no one had ever been convicted for his abduction. In fact, I don't think there were ever any suspects. After discovering this piece of information, my mind began to race. Why was this letter sent to me? And why did it reference a true crime? Of course, my brain immediately thought of the possibility that whoever was sending me these letters were involved with his disappearance, but I tried my best to push that thought out of my mind. I know it was the logical explanation, but the thought scared me too much to entertain it any longer. Out of curiosity, or maybe hope that it was just a coincidence, I decided to search the internet for the other names mentioned in these letters: Georgia Partridge and Henry Shepard. I hoped to find that they had not met similar fates. I entered both of their names into the search engine. I didn't like the 2 newspaper articles I found about them. Georgia Partridge, body found hanging from an old pear tree, suspected suicide. Henry Shepard, his dead body was found inside of his home. A large hole was dug through his forehead. I was seeing the pattern, which I guess was the caroler's design. The disturbing trend of the names from the letters all belonging to dead individuals was one that I wished I wasn't involved with. I looked around my apartment one more time, just to confirm that I was indeed alone. I couldn't make out anything out of the ordinary, just the usual furniture and clutter. I turned back around to face my laptop and the slowly declining stack of letters. I had to know what else was hidden within those envelopes. Of course, I was afraid to see what else they would reveal, but I had to know. I also needed to know why they had specifically been sent to me. I pulled the next letter that was resting atop the pile and opened it. Dear Santa, I want to sing a sleighing song tonight. From Robert Colling. Another clue that directly related to the emails I had previously received. Quote, bells on Bob's tail ring, making his spirit rise, end quote. The email that had mentioned Bob rushed through my head. I had no doubt in my mind that if I researched his name, he would undeniably be dead. I decided that I didn't really want to know about Bob's fate, so I moved on to the next letter and read it. Dear Santa, I want to hear the angels' voices ring. From Joy Gold. I read through this letter once before tossing it to one side and opening the following letter. Dear Santa, I want to meet Slasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. From Rudy Laying. After reading this letter, which also was written in the exact same handwriting as all the previous ones, I turned back to my laptop. I looked back through my email inbox and began to cross-reference the letters with the emails I had been sent. So far, they were all in the same order, and each name was involved in the email was the same name that each letter was from. I guess at this stage, my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to try and find out what had happened to Robert, Joy, and Rudy. It didn't take long to discover their fates. Robert Colling disappeared from his home on Christmas Eve 4 years ago. Neighbors claimed to not see anyone near his house but heard bells at around midnight. Joy Gold was strangled to death in her own home. A long piece of tinsel was discovered close to her body. Rudy Laying disappeared 11 years ago. His body has never been found. All that was ever located was his nose, which was cut off his face and was left on his mantelpiece beside a number of Christmas cards. I know at this point I should have phoned the police, or phoned anyone really, but I guess my morbid curiosity got the better of me. I needed to know more. Hell no! I'm sorry, but I'm just like, this is the time when you call 911. Okay. Excuse me for this outburst. Let's get back to the story. At this moment, I heard what sounded like a slight creak behind me, and I jumped in my seat and turned around quickly to see what it was. Nothing out of the ordinary was apparent inside my apartment. I couldn't see anything or hear anything, other than the sound of my own rapid breathing and the loud thumping of my heart. I turned my desk chair slightly, so that it was angled in a way that meant I could see the door to my apartment and I could still easily reach the letters. I wanted to have eyes facing out towards the main area of my living space, and so I could see the front door. I didn't think anyone would try to enter my apartment, but I wanted to be able to see in case they did. Once I was satisfied that I would be able to see anyone entering the apartment, I grabbed the next letter and opened it. Dear Santa, I want to join the triumph of the skies. From Jacob King. It took a bit longer to find further information about Jacob King, but I did manage to find something. Not a newspaper article, like previously, but a post on a social network post by who I presumed was Jacob's mom. And it read, "If anyone knows where my eldest son Jacob is, I beg of you to tell me. He hasn't been seen by anyone for 3 days now, and I need to know where he is. If he is with you, let me know." That was all I managed to find out about him. But it told me more than enough. He was missing. I looked down at the stack of papers that were left. There were still 5 envelopes sitting on the desk. No doubt, 5 more clues about 5 more people that were now missing or dead. I dreaded opening them, but at the same time, I needed to know what they said. I knew that once they were all open, I would take my findings to the police. There was evidence here that all of these crimes were connected. Someone knew about them. The caroler knew. I opened the next 4 letters, one after the other, and read what was written in each one. Dear Santa, I want to sing with a choir of angels, sing an execution. From Beth Maid. Dear Santa, do you know if I've been bad or good? Because I've been bad for goodness sake. From Hugh Dancer. Dear Santa, I wish you a Merry Christ Massacre. From Finn Lord. Dear Santa, can you make it the most sinful time of the year? From Carol Piping. I read through each letter, getting more and more worried as I opened each one. I was worried because I was getting closer towards the final letter. The letter that I really wasn't sure what it was going to contain. I had only received 11 emails. Yet, this was the 12th letter that I was going to open. I could think, hopefully, and assume that this envelope actually contained a child's letter to Santa. But hopeful wasn't something I could be after what I had just read through. I knew that it was going to be another letter from the caroler. I turned my chair back around, sacrificing my eyeline to the door to do so, and very hesitantly picked up the final letter. I slowly tore the envelope open and pulled out the sheet of paper that was inside. As I pulled out the letter, I could see it was the same handwriting, the same neat handwriting that was present on all the other letters. I read it out loud this time, and the letter was exactly what I feared it would be. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, the caroler. As I finished reading it, I heard a voice come from directly behind me, speaking directly into my ear. Fa la 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 la, ha 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 ha. And that's the end of this story. Man, this was spooky, but also after the first first 2 letters, I would be like, okay, I am not gonna touch anything because, contaminating the evidence. And just, no, like, call the police right now. Oh my god, oh my lord. Okay, so what do you guys think? Is this story true or fake? I mean, we can kind of guess, but I think it's pretty clear, but you guys can guess. It's a fake. Yeah, Juniper just said it's a fake. I knew it. Ian, I was late, and as such, I don't know the entire context. Yeah, you can definitely rewatch it, but it's a story submitted to the subreddit called Scary Stories by a user named Pudinator, I think. So Scary Stories is a subreddit with fake scary stories, so obviously this one is fake, but damn, it was good. It was very, very good, and it was so creepy. Oh, sounds kind of cheesy. But it was so creepy. I have to, yeah. Definitely true crime came from a ghost. Definitely, the ghost is like, this is my story. True final answer. Okay, this one was fake. But we have 2 more stories. And these 2 stories are gonna be from 2 of my subscribers. So make yourself comfortable and let's hear the second story. Sorry, let me just take a sip of my water because I need to hydrate. Okay. Also, my throat is kind of, after reading the first one was, that was kind of long. Whispering right next to my ear, that's not ASMR? Hell nah. Well, I mean, Was it whispering? No, it was just a voice just coming from behind the narrator, so it wasn't whispering. Here, your outburst was the scariest thing. Yeah, halfway through I was just like, oh hell no. No Sleep is also a great subreddit. Yeah, I've had stories from No Sleep before. Hey Sona, can you say no? What happened? I think no. I don't know. Okay, so on to the second story. Let me ask everyone something. What do you think a soldier's weirdest experience during his or her stay in the military would be? Would it be battling it out against Nephilims in Kandahar? Perhaps the cave demons in Afghanistan? Maybe seeing the ghost of dead Marine that fought and died trying to capture Okinawa? Regardless of which generation of military, I never can pronounce it. Regardless of which generation of military or which country you are from, we have all had at least one unexplained thing that happened to us. For me, though, my encounter would occur during a guard shift on an ungodly frigid night on Usan Air Base in Korea. A little history about the surrounding area. The Battle of Usan and the Battle of Pyeongtaek. Sorry, I cannot pronounce Korean names. I guess it's Pyeongtaek. Okay, so the Battle of Usan and the Battle of Pyeongtaek were the first engagement by the US forces against the North Koreans. The small task force that was sent, which was called Task Force Smith. To say the least, they had steamrolled. They got steamrolled by the North. Would be an understatement. Let's not also forget the multiple invasions by the Japanese and Mongolia. At the time, I had been in the army a little over a year and a half, and had been in Korea for about 8 months. I was attached to an air defense artillery unit guarding the runway from North Korean missiles. Usually, the tour of Korea was a year long. I enjoyed my time there so much, I signed up to stay an extra year. The perks were an extra $150 a paycheck. The only thing that they didn't tell me was that if I stayed, I would be transferred to a new unit, which was at Usan. 3 months after I had been transferred, my unit came back from a brutal training exercise all the way up at the border. Warrior Base, which is a few miles from the North Korean border, is where I had been for the previous month. We had a few people get frostbite while out training. Anybody that had been there in January would tell you if hell was made of ice, you would be very close to the cold we felt. We returned back to Osan in February. The first thing I checked was to see if I had any guard shift either in the barracks or out at the guard shack. To my delight, I had a guard shift on a Thursday. Hell yeah, 3-day weekend for me, I thought. All guard shifts were 24 hours long. The next day, we would have a day off. Usually, if you had a guard shift on a Thursday, you would have Friday off. Thursday had finally came, and all I could think about was about getting that shift done and go back to the barracks with a cut of prime rib and a can of Asahi. Snow had begun to fall last night and painted everything white. The bus arrived at the barracks and everyone that was heading to launcher station boarded. I grabbed my gear and entered. One of my friends, Private Noon, would be on shift with me on this night. The bus trip to and from the barracks was about 5 to 10 minutes. Launcher station was on the other side of Ulsan's runway and housed all 8 launcher units. Of course, it was fenced-off area with a guard shack to the right side and a smoke pit to the left. Once we arrived, Noon and I grabbed our armor and helmets and entered the guard shack. Wouldn't you know it, both guards were asleep. Keep in mind, we can have one guy asleep and one awake during the duty. If both people are asleep, we could end up losing rank and given extra detail. Our sister company, that's stationed up near the north, found this out the hard way. 2 of their guys were supposed to watch radars and make sure that all North Korean missile launches were tracked, but both fell asleep and North Korea decided to launch a missile. To say the least, the results were ugly for them. Wake up, you ugly bastards. I yelled at the top of my lungs. Adachi gonna kick your ass and leave you here if you don't hurry up and get on the bus, Noon chimed in. Both guys jolted awake and gave us the one-finger salute. So, anything new happen? I questioned. Specialist Joe shook his head and as he left the shack. Nah, just snow and this hellish cold. The day went by as usual. The launcher guys went to their main building, which was 100 yards from the guard shack, and didn't do too much since they had no training scheduled. 5 p.m. finally came and the bus came back to take everyone, except Noon and myself would be spending the night in the shack. I waved to the bus driver as he turned the bus around, and I locked the gate for the night. The sun had already set and was pitch black all around the outside of the fence line. We had floodlights at the entrance just in case we needed to check ID for entrance, but that was it. Now, you would think if you were guarding an entrance to anything, you would be given an M16 or M249 light MG or at least a pistol. You know, just in case something happens. It almost seemed like if something happened, they expected you to go out there, flip them off, and cuss at them, and it would work perfectly fine. It was about 9 p.m. I had just finished eating the pizza that I had ordered a couple hours before and had to use the bathroom. So I ran to Launcher's building, which thankfully had a bathroom, and I entered one of the stalls. I was reading Naruto on a manga app on my phone when I started hearing what sounded like yelling. I could tell it wasn't inside the building, but outside. I yelled back that I couldn't hear what he was saying and to come inside. The front door opened, and I could hear the wind and footsteps entering the building. What were you trying to say? I asked, still in the stall. Absolute silence. Noon, stop screwing around. What do you need? I sat there waiting for a response, but nothing came. I sighed, cleaned myself up and washed my hands. I peered out of the bathroom to look around the building since I didn't hear anyone leave. There was nobody there, which made me uneasy. I looked around the building expecting Noon to pop up and try to scare me. After checking and not finding a soul in the building, I was starting to wonder if he had left and just gone back to the shack. Weird, I thought. I headed back to the shack to find Noon watching anime on his phone. Haha, very funny, you little shit, I said with a smirk on my face. He gave me a sincerely confused look instead of a joking look, like he usually would if he was joking. The hell you going on about? He asked. Did somebody drop by when I was in the bathroom? He just gave me a blank stare, like he didn't know what I was talking about. After that, I just brushed it off, thinking it was weird. Noon and I talked about sleep schedules since usually around this time, one goes to sleep and the other one takes the watch. I was tired and asked if it would be cool. I was tired and asked if it would be cool with him if I crashed out first for a couple of hours to watch. To which he agreed to. So I fell asleep for a couple hours. Noon barged into the shack, which woke me up. Oki, you need to see this. Grab the flashlights, he said, panicked. Oh, hell, I thought as I got up and put on my armor and helmet. I grabbed the flashlights and immediately exited the shack. Before I put my foot on the cement, Noon yelled, "Stop!" I immediately froze in place and slowly pulled my foot back inside the shack. Below, I found there to be footprints in the snow, which was weird. 1. Who the hell is walking barefoot in the middle of nowhere? 2. Why was it a child's footprint? Or so I thought. Another strange thing I noticed was the fact that the tracks almost seemed like they started facing the shack, then turning around and walked away towards the launchers. It made no sense. So I looked around the shack, thinking there had to be more footprints, but there wasn't any. I had Noon look on the side he was on, but found nothing. Well, guess we should find this kid, I said, throwing a light to Noon. The snow came down harder than it had earlier in the night, and was starting to cover up the tracks, so we hurried up and started following the prints. As we followed the prints, we would check every launcher station and the fence line looking for this kid. As we made our way down to launchers, I would catch glimpse of what would look like a human shadows, but by the time I turned my head, it would be gone. I turned to Noon and asked if he had seen what I did. He said he had been noticing them for a while, but thought he was seeing things. This fact unsettled me and had me on edge. The footprints stopped in front of Launcher 6. It was like the child had just vanished into thin air, which creeped Noon and me out. We both checked the fence line, and proceeded to Launcher 6. I approached the launcher cautiously scanning the area around the lower part of the launcher to ensure nobody was underneath. I told Noon to check the cab of the truck connected to launchers for the same reason, and to turn it on and get the heater running. I had planned on jumping in after I completed searching to warm up. Thankfully, the wind died down and it was now only snowing. So it wasn't as cold, but without the wind, a whole new level of fear caused by absolute silence took hold. For anyone who hasn't been around snow, I will tell you, for whatever reason, sound is muffled to an extreme amount. It feels like you can scream, but literally no one will hear you. Even if normally they would. I could hear my heart beating out of my chest and felt a cold sweat on my face. I checked over the launcher to make sure nobody was there, and no one had screwed with it. What bothered me was, while I was looking around, I was seeing those shadows again. I could never get my light on any of them, let alone see them clearly. They moved so quickly. It almost seemed like I was surrounded by shadows and could never get a clear look of them. "Hey, you getting in the cab soon?" someone asked. I screamed at the top of my lungs and almost punched Noon in the face. "What the fuck, dude?" I yelled at him. "Sorry, man. You've been out here for a while. I was just checking on you," he replied as we both giggled. I told Noon to turn the truck off and that we would be heading back to the shack and get a hold of CQ. Charge of quarters, the people that were in charge of barracks for the day. We started on our way back. We started on our way back, and the lights from our flashlights started flickering before eventually they turned off. I started to panic because without our lights, we didn't have any source of light besides the lights at the gate. We could see the lights of the gate, but they were far away, so we started on our way back to the shack in darn near complete darkness. We were about a quarter of the way back when Noon abruptly stopped. I darn near ran into him. "Hey, do you hear that?" he asked. I listened for a moment and didn't hear anything. "What are you talking about?" I questioned. "It sounded like a girl's crying," he replied. "So how do you plan on looking for her? We don't have a light source," I asked. "I just thought about that we have phone lights." I pulled out my phone and began looking around. I still couldn't hear this person's crying, but he wasn't going to stop looking. I figured, heck, let's find this girl and get her help and move on. Noon said that it sounded like it was coming from the other side of the wall. So all the launchers are pointed towards the runway to be able to shoot out to defend it. Behind all of the launchers was a massive wall. On the other side of the wall is a small machine gun nest. So we figured that person would be around there since it was so cold. Noon and I went around the wall to try and find this person. I happened to look down and wouldn't you know it, there were more footprints leading to that machine gun nest. Against our better judgment, we entered inside. Inside, we found a woman in a hanbok. From behind, she was in all white, with long, jet black hair that was braided down in the middle of her back. She was about 5'6". She was looking out at the road, so I couldn't see her face. "Miss, are you okay?" both Noon and I said. She whipped around and locked eyes with mine. I have never been so scared of a person or something that was in human form. Both her eyes were deep blood red, and half her face was missing. Most of her face that was still attached was rotten flesh and bone. The smell of blood and rotten meat filled the room. She let out a scream that was so loud I covered my ears. The only thing I could think of was, "I am going to die tonight." The next thing I remember was the sun rising up and I was on the floor of the bunker. I woke up Noon, who was further inside the bunker. "What happened?" I asked. "I don't know," he replied. We got up and hurried back to the shack, since we didn't want to get in trouble for not being at our assigned duty station. We never really talked about that night. I honestly haven't heard from him in a few years, so I guess I could message him. So that's the end of the story. What do you guys think? Is it fake or is it true? You can guess now. And welcome to the new people. So hi Nova, thank you so much for tuning in. But yeah, you can guess, is this story true or is it fake? I am taller than 5'4". Cool. Anyone that uses jet black hair is being over dramatic. Hey, I mean, it is dark hair. It was fake, but really cool. Fake. Natasha, Tyrant, what? Some black hair is especially dark. And it's pretty striking, in my opinion. Yeah, that's true. Like, some black hair is, like, really, really black. So, like, the only thing that you can describe it is, like, I don't know, charcoal at midnight. Or, yeah, or jet black. Maybe both. Fake, true. Okay, so a lot of people saying fake. This story was actually titled One Hell of a Shift, and it was submitted by Rai Oki. So Rai is the author, and he said the following. This story is partially real. The place and people are real. The first incident where I had heard voices in the bathroom were real. The footprints and the girl are the fake elements. So whenever I did have gate guard duty, I would always see this dim red light out in launchers. The first few times I went out and found nothing. I kind of figured I was seeing things until someone else mentioned it one time. So yeah, so the story is, you know, it's partially true. And Rai, thank you so much for submitting the story. Okay, so on to the third story, and that one's also submitted by one of the viewers. Okay, let's start. November of 1992, Wisconsin. Me and my father had just finished watching the NASCAR race in Atlanta when we decided to go fishing at a local lake. It was called Lake Wissota, and it's still around today. But I'll never forget what I saw that night. We had heard some rumors that the government had been dumping nuclear waste there. We thought nothing of it. The government probably would be smart enough not to put their nuclear waste into a body of water that locals frequented. However, when we got there, something was off. Nobody else was there. During peak hours, too. After we heard a noise like rusted metal gently scraping a chalkboard. I can never pronounce it, but gently scraping a chalkboard. We began to run back to our truck, but it had been smashed into a tree, as if something had picked it up and threw it like a toy. When we heard them, then we heard them. Bells. Bells of different pitches, at an almost deafening volume. In fact, my father did go deaf from them, at least for a few hours. The bells stopped. Me and my father both instinctively looked up, and then we saw the eyes. Oh, those eyes. Red, like I've never seen red. I can still see them when I close my eyes. The most disturbing part was that those eyes weren't connected to anything. Nothing we could see anyway. Those eyes got closer and closer and closer until we could feel heat radiating off of them. Me and my father both ran like we had never run before, feeling that we were being chased the entire time until we reached the lights on the road. Then we felt safe. But we were wrong. I heard something hit the ground. I thought it would be something behind us, so I looked back. Then my hand started to feel wet. I looked down at it, and my finger was gone. After that, we took a ride to the emergency room. I told them the story, but they didn't believe me. Nobody did. Not even my mother. Until they started to go missing. One by one. Totaling about 70 from 1992 to today. People would go missing near the lake with no explanation. Local authorities would never investigate the lake, even to this day. But I know that thing we saw that night is what caused every single one of those disappearances. I still remember that night like it was yesterday, even 30 years since. I could point to the spot where my finger was. With my other hand, of course. And I could bring you to the lake, but I choose not to. Because if I were bring you to there, because if I were to bring you there, there would be a good chance we wouldn't come back. And that's it. So, what do you think? Is this story true or fake? You can guess now. Oh, chag. Chalk. I can never pronounce it. Yeah, like I know in Japanese, I guess it's like just chaku. But like chalk, I guess chalkboard. So without L. Okay, so what do you guys think about the third story? Is it true or is it fake? You can guess now. Fake. Everyone's like, fake. I don't know. Well, I mean... Okay, so pretty short. Hard to say. That's true. It was pretty quick. Fake. So, actually, the person who sent it didn't say if it was fake or true. But I think... I don't know. Like, well, I mean, it was sent by the user, so maybe it was true, but who knows? So actually, I don't know. If you're out there, this is the story by Julia Wright. She sent it in. So Julia, if you're there, you can let us know if this story was actually true, because yeah, they didn't say. But yeah, that's I think to me, I think it was fake. I think it's a pretty nice story, but I think it was fake. Hey Sona, I emailed you a story I wrote about Doomsday. Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out. Alright, so that's who sent it. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Julia, if you're out there, if you're gonna, you know, come across this stream, you're gonna tune in, please let us know. Let me know next time if this story was true or fake. Forever a mystery. Yeah, it was a pretty fun story. Okay, so that is it for the stories. Let me get back to the chat room. Yeah, so that was pretty fun. I did really enjoy the stories that you guys sent. And again, if you want to, you know, like if you want me to read out your story during my Full Body Chills live stream, you can send it over to, you know, to my email that's provided in the description of this video, which is fearsonaofficial@gmail.com. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a long story. Even if it's like very, very short, it's fine too. I'm gonna try my best to read it out. And yeah, like, please let me know if the story is fake or true as well. Unless you don't want to. Unless you want it to be a forever mystery. Then, yeah. And yeah, that's about it, you know. Okay, so as I said before, tomorrow I have a Patreon-only bonus true crime live stream. Men is a long title, but it's a bonus true crime live stream in which I'm gonna be discussing the unsolved murder of Mickey Thompson and his wife. Mickey Thompson was actually an American racing or auto racing, what was it? Auto racing car, I guess, builder and promoter. Or auto racing builder and promoter, and he and his wife were shot at his house in California. And yeah, this case was unsolved until very recently because something changed in 2007, and that I'm gonna reveal it during the live stream tomorrow. And then on Sunday I will have the true crime stream, the YouTube true crime stream on my channel, like, you know, just the regular one, and we're gonna discuss a case from Hawaii, a case from a serial killer, and that one's unsolved to this day. Yeah, auto racing. Okay, so it is auto racing. I guess, like, I'm still thinking about the stories and I just, like, I don't know what I'm saying by now. Okay, but that's it. You know, that's it for today. if you enjoy these streams, if you enjoy my, you know, my content, my videos, my streams, and you would, you know, like sometimes you miss me a lot, you can head over to Patreon for an equivalent of, I don't know, a Starbucks coffee a month. You get access to a library of streams. So by now it's like 8 or 9 cases that I'm gonna cover only for Patreon. And then you also get access to Discord with a special VIP role. And that's not the end, because this month I'm gonna announce something special for Patreons, for Patreon members. I'm not gonna say anything more, but there's gonna be a special surprise for you guys and for anyone who joins during the special offer time. But okay, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you liked it. And stay safe out there. Always lock your doors. Don't read weird emails, or don't touch the letters that seem to be connected to weird emails from the caroler. Someone called the caroler, because like, holy bejesus, call 911, please. And that's it. Stay safe out there. Farewell, fearlings. Until the next time. Bye!